A Venezuelan and Italian national whose small aircraft crashed roughly 14 miles off the coast of Grenada on Friday say they owe their life to the Grenada Coast Guard, which acted immediately after receiving a call from the Maurice Bishop International Airport's air traffic control around 1 p.m. Just prior to contacting the Coast Guard unit, air traffic control received a distress call alerting of engine failure of the Piper aircraft and approved the pilot's request for an emergency landing at the MBIA. The events prompted the activation of the Grenada Airport Authority Emergency Response Plan and consequently an immediate response from the Coast Guard and the Grenada Ports Authority, resulting in the successful rescue of the two occupants. Recounting his experience, Italian national Daniel Lazzari, who was the pilot of the family-sized aircraft, told the Government Information Service that they experienced engine failure about 10 miles from Grenada's Maurice Bishop International Airport.
It was so fast, I really don't know what the problem was with the engine. And my only thing was try to make it in the water and not kill myself. I just wanted to glide and try to hit the water as clean as possible. I was able to do that. Myself and the passenger were not hurt, harm or anything. We just grabbed the raft, got on the raft and just started praying. And I noticed the tower, we had an emergency, and tower communicated to me that they were going to immediately call the Coast Guard. And if it wasn't for the Coast Guard, I wouldn't be telling you the story right now. They were extremely fast, professional, serious, and kind. I have no word for them. And for the rest of my life, I owe my life to them. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Coast Guard of Grenada, that's for sure. Because I thought we were going to spend there, just like in the movies, spend weeks and weeks in the middle of the ocean and just die. But the Coast Guard rescued us.
The pair was traveling from the city of Barcelona in Venezuela and was planning to spend a day or two in Grenada before moving on to Martinique and hopping to other islands. Lazzari says apart from not being found and eventually perishing in the vast body of water, leaving his family and a 7-year-old daughter behind weighed heavily on his mind.
I did feel like in the morning, it was the last time I ever kissed my daughter. You go through that. The last time you see my wife, because I just tell myself it's just so hard for somebody to find you in the middle of the ocean. And we were on the raft with no water, no food, no clothes, nothing, just cooking. So anytime we could just faint and fall in the water and die. And like in the movies, I thought at one point I thought it was in the movie. And in the movies, everybody dies and just one survives. And in this movie, we both survived, thanks to the Coast Guard. Imagine a little raft as big as a square in the middle of the ocean, which is humongous. And just out of nowhere, I just looked up and I just see the boat of the Coast Guard. It was like, how? How did they do that? And obviously they were trained and professional, and they were ready to find us.
The aircraft was owned by Venezuelan national Jose Javier Gomez. Communicating with the assistance of Acting Chief Protocol Officer Matthew Simon, Gomez also commended the Coast Guard for its quick response and the skill of the pilot for averting any potential disaster. Like his friend, he was also worried about leaving loved ones behind.
Really, he was just praying that somebody rescued them, because they know what to explain how he felt at the moment, understanding that their lives could have been lost.
Minister for Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Joseph Andal, met with both men at CID on Saturday after they gave statements to the police as part of protocol. He said following the incident, government reached out via diplomatic notes to Venezuela and Italy, and both responded. Minister Andal is happy that Grenada was able to act in quick time to ensure that the pair was spared any further distress.
On behalf of the government of Grenada, I wish to say a profound thank you to the RGPF and in particular the Coast Guard for the rapid and effective response. It is not every day that we are faced with accidents of this nature, so they did it from a situation of not having had any real-life experience with effecting such a rescue. We are extremely pleased that the two gentlemen were relatively unharmed. The staff of the General Hospital and Ministry of Health also took extremely good care of them overnight. The RGPF has been excellent and professional throughout.
GIS also spoke with Inspector Dexter Roberts of the Grenada Coast Guard, who said they received the call from the tower around 1 p.m. on Friday of an aircraft in distress. There is a direct line between the tower and Coast Guard designated for incidents of this nature, so as soon as they received the call, they sprang into action. But protocol dictates that they must also alert neighboring countries.
Within 5 minutes, we were able to deploy an asset or send a vessel out at sea to really investigate the matter. The call coming from the airport said that there was a small aircraft in distress somewhere around 14 miles south of the airstrip. So we deployed that vessel and they went in the general area and continued our search, or started searching basically. In incidents like these, there is a regional effort as well, and that is where the regional security system comes into play. So we inform Barbados as well, because that's the head office of the regional security system. We also inform Trinidad and Tobago, because they are the coordinating center for search and rescue within the southern region of the Caribbean. So it is protocol that we involve these areas or these countries whenever we have situations like these. Especially for aerial assets in terms of aircraft to do search, we are the Coast Guard in Grenada. We're very limited in terms of aircraft. And the Trinidad Regiment, they have helicopters and aircraft that we normally would use to do search and rescue out in the deep water whenever we have situations like that.
Inspector Roberts explained that there were some important factors at play in this situation, one being the expertise of pilot Daniel Lazari, and another, the modus operandi of the Grenada Coast Guard of acting immediately upon receiving any distress call.
It's fortunate that the pilot level of skill was was great in that he can land the aircraft on the water without it maybe disintegrating and breaking up and stuff like that. So in doing that, they were able to evacuate the aircraft, get into a life raft, and be saved. But I think it is critical that I bear this out. At the Coast Guard, we have a quick response system or an attitude, a frame of mind that whenever we have an incident or a search and rescue incident, we should be able to get into our vessels and go out to sea within 5 minutes, because a minute makes quite a bit of a difference whether someone leaves or someone dies. So we were able to send our vessel out to sea immediately within 5 minutes on getting that report from the tower, and we got a position as to where the aircraft reported the last engine problem. So we were able to head to that location. That's the reason why the gentleman said that within a few minutes, Coast Guard was right there upon them. So we were able to, to get on scene or get on location rather quickly, because we just, move out immediately. Yeah. And we also sent out about 3 other vessels, because in incidents like that, we need to saturate the area with as much vessels as possible. So we had about 3 Coast Guard vessels out there. At the same time, American Airlines were coming in. So the tower would have communicated with them, and they would have done some circling as well. And the tower also sent out another aircraft to do some sort. So there were quite a bit of assets looking for them yesterday. But fortunately, the Coast Guard was able to get on scene rather quickly and save them.
On Friday, Prime Minister and Minister for National Security, the Honourable Dickon Mitchell, commended all parties for their quick action, which resulted in the successful rescue of the persons on board by the Grenada Coast Guard. He also expressed thanks to responding agencies which assisted in the search: the MBIA Crash Fire Rescue Unit, Royal Grenada Police Force, Police, Fire and Coast Guard, Ministry of Health, National Disaster Management Agency NADMA, Trinidad and Tobago Rescue Coordination Center, Air Guard Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, Regional Security Services RSS, American Airlines, SVG Air, and the local marine community. I am Leslie Ann Johnson.